Bush Buskateers, live to give. Chapter 1, City Life. Are you blokes Aussies? Shifting his weight from one foot to the other, trying to catch an eye, he continued, would you like the pleasure of encountering some uplifting entertainment for whatever pocket change you might consider to befit the lyrics? The largest of the approaching group was a very intimidating lad with red hair. The big fella stooped down real low, like he was about to stretch out, and lay on his belly. Then, startling Payne, he turned his tremendous body so that his nose was only inches from Peyton's face. Pay gave a small shriek as the big bloke slowly bellowed, mate, what do you mean, are we Aussies? Pay stepped back a little bit and smiled when he recognised the humour. The only plane I ever hopped off was the Nullarbor plane. Fairly obvious I didn't just fly in from Bombay, New York or London, isn't it? He stood up tall and puffed out his chest. I'm a true blue kangaroo, as Aussie as you get. A big red, actually. I'm 6'3" and hot as ginger on the dance floor. The big red couldn't seem to stand still. He was skipping, hopping and dancing all over the footpath. More than one pedestrian was changing direction to avoid his energetic display. He had not finished showing off yet. I'm faster than most emus. At a run I can jump a 12-foot fence. I've been shot at more times than I care to remember, and they call me Kalen Kangaroo. I'm pleased to meet you. He held out his hand, which Peyton noticed were not much longer than his own. Kalen gave Pay a short handshake. Without pausing much to take a breath, he continued, my little possum mates here thought you were a duck, but I know you. I've been up north where I had the honour of meeting one of you little fellas way back. You're a platypus, aren't you, little fella? You got it in one, brother. Can I sing you a song for whatever coin you think it might be worth? Pay mustered his pluck. He turned to meet Kalen's eyes with his own, and he continued, you being so Aussie and all, might consider this one to be worth something. It goes like this. Pay kicked his hat. More like a dribble. It took multiple tiny kicks, 4 to be precise, to position his hat purposefully in the place where it could be packed by all patrons.
That the people moved away from the city to the country one day, and they all stopped working so they could go out to play, and they smiled for each other all day. Yeah, I had a dream that the people moved away from the concrete and the glass back to clay, and they lived in the bush and they were happy to stay, 'cause they didn't have to rush or frown all day. Yeah, the people, they were nice to each other once again, and all of the neighbours knew everyone as friends, and everything owned was on offer to lend. 'cause there was no money to spend. Everyone there, they grew veggies instead, and some of them amongst them learned how to make bread. Some cooked the dinner, while others built sheds, and we played the music. Yeah, we played the music instead. Dream. The people moved away from the city, and they went back to play. And they walked around smiling instead of rushing, and waved and said g'day, and they all became real nice Australians. Yeah, they all became real nice Australians.
Caelan's companions were cheering wildly. A lively bunch of possums and a very talented lyrebird had been dancing, cheering, and carrying on since the second verse. The beautiful bird had been harmonising and joining in wherever possible. And the possums were not far behind, as they were all experienced singers and not too bad at following this song, even though it was new to them. Pay put himself into a positive mindset. Today, something was gonna break. A change is in the wind, he thought with a shiver. The quirky companions of Carew continued with their comical quips, commanding the attention of all the critters in the crew constantly. They were adept musicians, acrobatic and fun to watch, with entertaining antics like climbing, jumping, doing back and front flips, and being somehow able to always land on their feet. "Who are your friends?" Peyton asked. Carew looked around like a proud father when his beloved friends were mentioned. "These are my little Buskateer buddies." "Buskateers, mate." He paused, waiting to learn Peyton's name. "Pay to pals." Peyton Platypus to be precise. "Pleasure," said Pay before Carew continued with the introductions. "Well, Peyton, meet P, Wall and Hazel. Oh, and Choir Boy over there. He can copy any sound you can imagine, from Beethoven to the annoying sound of a jackhammer. So that's what we call him, Jackhammer." After greeting all the possums with a shake of his webbed hand, Pay said hello to the lyrebird. "How you going, mate?" said Pay. "How you going, mate?" said the strangely beautiful bird. It took Peyton a minute to realise that he'd just heard his own voice and words repeated back to him. The possums thought this wildly hilarious, not even attempting to restrain themselves from rolling on the concrete in fits as they relished the joke they had heard too many times before. Peyton picked up his hat. Breakfast wasn't going to be yet. He sat on the step of a shop counting the change within. Time for a change, he thought. "How about a song, Buskateers?" said Pay to no one, aiming at everyone. He was going to start playing a panpipe solo, but before he had finished the entirety of the sentence, instruments seemed to appear from nowhere. Slung over their backs and held up with a string were a guitar for P, a drum for Wall, a harmonica which seemed to appear from Hazel's armpit. The instruments obviously custom made, as they were so small they could hardly be noticed until the performance was paramount.
Happy to unite, share a pleasant disposition, and entertain with delight.
We love to see you smile, and we welcome you to dance. Looking forward to being we'll strum up a few melodies, play them just for you. We can party fast or slow. Go on and kick off your shoes. Music for the people, rhythms for the crowd, can pick you up from where you are and place you above the clouds. So close your eyes now, everyone. It's time to drift and sway. Let's step towards that special place. Dance the day away. And dance the day away. And dance the day. Chapter 2. New Beginnings. Caelan, Pay, P, Wal, Hazel and Jackhammer played music all morning and well into the afternoon. Hunger was driven from Peyton's mind as music, sweet music, consumed every fibre of his being. All the musicians were exhausted when finally Wal began counting coins.
39, 40.
Trapped in a city with nowhere to go and no one to help him get there. Not good enough. You need a change, little fella. I reckon you ought to pack up your bedroll and set off with us. Peyton didn't take a lot to convince. He knew well before it was said that a change was imminent. "Where are we going?" Peyton asked, as though it might have made a difference to his decision. "The rejuvenated lands!" All the Buskateers spoke at once, excitement spilling over. The three words sounded like heaven when said with such fervour. Either these guys were all nuts or this place was astonishingly amazing. No song had been written about these rejuvenated lands yet. Obviously, because everyone began singing their own version of a song containing those words.
Rejuvenated lands, rejuvenated lands, rejuvenated lands.
The resulting cacophony of performance turned into a competition in loose linguistics. The rules of the competition soon became apparent. They were very simple. Whoever comes up with the cleverest lyric wins. The winning line is then adopted and melded into the repertoire of all the buskers. Pay smiled as he listened to the resulting laughter. He was ready for some fun times, and fun times, it seemed, had arrived. Travelling north and being in bushland after way too long in the city was an adventure unprecedented for Pay. But he wasn't quite sure he was doing the wisest thing until he heard those special words. As the possum sat back playing a harmonica blues tune, a voice in the distance was calling, "Yo-yo!" This was to become a sound that Peyton would carry with him forever. He knew the call before being told. He had always known it. "Yo-yo!" replied everyone at once. "That's how we say hello to family in the bush," Caelan said. "If you hear a yo-yo, you know you're about to get a visit from family." The weight of the world seemed to lift as Pay realised he was home. The Free Dweller Tree Fella was the name he called himself on introduction, but all except Pay were calling him by another name.
Freddy.
Freddie.
Most of his friends simply called him Fred, Freddy, or Freddie Free. Fred was a wombat, a huge wombat. Pay had no idea wombats could be so gigantic. Fred was a loner, a retired bullocky, a teamster and a trader. It was obvious due to his size that Fred had lived a long time. Pay wanted to learn from this fountain of memories. Freddie Free presented himself as a wealth of wisdom. As the evening wore on, the campfire exhausted itself. Pay placed a small log on top of the embers and sat near Freddie Free. Not much was said as the flames reignited, but soon came the right time and the right question. "How long have you been here, Fred?" Freddie lingered in thought for a long minute, watching his breath disappear into the smoke from the campfire. "Let me sing you a song," he said, sounding like an old schoolmaster about to give a vital lesson. The Tree Song. When I was only 7, there were so many trees to be found. 1 hour out of Sydney, you could still see country surround. I watched them build the houses, and I cried when they bulldozed bush down, 'cause the rosella nests and the wallabies never again made a sound. When I reached about 13 years old, I travelled all over the land. Went north, east and west with my mum and my dad, and witnessed real salt bush and sand. It was an untouched country, untamable we thought, till they brought out the DC-9 bulldozers with half a mile of chain pulled taut. They sanitised our country, they cleaned it up real well. In the name of progress, left our babies with an empty shell. I spent some time in a city where they let a few trees survive. They were hidden in a courtyard, dwarfed by buildings on every side. I played for them some music, yeah, I played the bush melody song, but their sadness was overwhelming. They yearned for the place they belong. The possums were asleep in the trees. Jackhammer the lyrebird stood lookout, and Caelan was rustling and shuffling as he laid out his bedroll. Silence lingered for a few moments after Freddie's song, and then Pay had to ask, "Have you ever heard of the rejuvenated lands?" Fred was surprised there existed a place he had not yet heard of, but when the location of these lands was described to him, he explained why they needed rejuvenating. "Loggers," Freddie said. Freddie was repulsed. "We call them rejuvenated without understanding how far we have fallen. Never again will I sit under a tree that's as old as the mountains." "Would you like to tag along, Freddie?" Peyton asked. Freddie gave no reply.
Chapter 4.
Live to give. Before the kookaburra could stir, Pay was awake. Wide awake. He had woken himself up to loud applause he had just received in a dream. The dream was so vivid, and the song he was singing so perfect. He needed to write, "Within the limits of the time that I exist, there are so many reasons why I must hurry in my quest. I don't travel back and forth to so sending out this message cannot wait for time to pass. It's time to look and wipe your eyes. Opportunity will pass you by, but you can't see because you cry." No, you can't see because you cry. The reasons for it all might not be known the day you look back and everything is shown. The path you choose will sometimes slip and slide. So gather up your knowledge and make choices that are wise. So stand up tall and go outside. Look everybody in the eye. Trust away, you'll always find the value of a giver's life. Appreciate then your time, even when the days are trials. Caelan Carew was bright and chirpy, talkative and optimistic from the moment his whiskers began twitching as he attempted to remove a relentless fly from his face. It only took a few words from the loud lead singer and everyone else was up. "Rejuvenate, schmovenate. How can anyone restore an area to its former glories?" Freddie said. Pay had to speak. He had enough. "We could all do our bit instead of wasting the rest of our days shaking our heads at those who have a crack at it. I've got a song for you. It's called Within the Limits." Pay sang his new song, pulling no punches. He caught the eye of Freddie once, but he let his gaze linger as he sang the last lines. Peyton was never the type of platypus to refrain from speaking his mind. Not that he was out to offend or be disagreeable. In fact, being tactful was an art Pay had perfected from very young. Respect for others was a rule to him. Peyton was a beneficiary of some hard words from good hearts through his life, and he was wiser for it. The band of travellers moved on, led by Pay, as he set a pace that was very difficult to match for a wombat with a full belly. Eventually Caelan Carew set off to slow Pay down, "Slow down, little fella. Freddie's coming." Peyton was relieved and a little bit ashamed of himself for being unable to keep a cool head. He apologised to Caleb. It was only a little over an hour since breakfast, but the mulberry tree that stretched its branches like a protective mother above them was too awesome to ignore. Jackhammer was picking all the mulberries on the top branches and dropping them down for Fred, Caelan and Pay. P was darting up and down branches so fast he was near invisible without a high-speed camera. Hazel and Lowell were doing the same, but their bellies were already so full that their usual athleticism was restricted, making them easier to watch. Pay filled his hat with travel snacks, then turned to put the sun on his right as the Buskateers continued on their way to the rejuvenated lands. Freddie smiled. His mouth and teeth dyed the colour of mulberry. He looked like he had consumed lipstick. Not too many of us older generation care to hear what you young fellas have to say. He gave an uncomfortable fruity grin and continued, "I didn't get to thank you for being straight with me. I've been on my own out here, hiding from the world so long, I started talking to myself. It didn't take long before I was giving myself advice. Not long after that, I started believing my own cynicism." Pay was impressed. This really was a wise old wombat.
Chapter 5.
Travelling stock. The sunsets lately had been phenomenal, amazing to behold, especially after so long in the city. Peyton was astounded. He loved to lay back in the evenings and watch the incredible display of colour emanating from the western sky. Peyton loved to etch images of his favourite scenes into his mind, like the time he spent with his father on their camping trip to the Heritage Waterfalls. From the top of the falls, you could see water vapour emanating from the valley below. Rising out of the falling water was a mist. Pay loved to imagine this to be the birthplace of the clouds. This, along with memories of the mountains, stars, moon, the ocean, and now the desert and her sunsets, were what he liked to think about every night before sleeping. At times like this, Peyton liked to breathe every breath and savour it. He knew he was a very fortunate friend. Caelan was about to relax before his next stroll with the Bush Buskateers when he heard a strange but familiar noise. Woof, woof, woof. Too loud and deep to be an owl, and definitely not a dog. The noise was getting closer quickly. Everyone got up, bewilderment etched on their faces, fear rising up their spines, legs beginning to get the urge to run as the noise became louder. "Horses!" cried Caelan. "It's the water in their bellies!" Sure enough, within seconds, two large horses strode straight past, just missing Woll as he tried to run away in the same direction the horses were going. Slowly, almost silently, the stockman followed their tracks as he sang a song.
I fell off me horse and I landed in poo. It was spread from me hair down to me shoes. He must have dropped it last time we came through. Yeah, I fell off me horse and I landed in poo. I went to the shower and I scrubbed for an hour. I tried all the soaps, even lavender flower. A big scrubbing brush and a whole tank of water. A tube of toothpaste, but you wouldn't have thought it. I was meant to go out on a date for me tea. Got dressed up real neat, thought I looked pretty sweet. But when I stepped out, me reinforced fly screen. An army of flies had come up from the creek. They chased me to dinner, made me look like a winner, as customers saw the abominable shimmer of 10 million flies as their wingtips gave glimmer.
The big stock horse saw Caelan first. Pulling back wide-eyed and giving an indignant snort, his wide eyes staring at Carew as he attempted to change direction against the will of his rider. The rider was more than capable of matching the horse in wills, so a struggle ensued. The struggle was short, as the rider was well equipped with skill and spurs. This is a harsh land in many respects, Peyton thought, as he spotted the rifle wrapped in the leather strappings on the side of the mount. Peyton found himself alone. His companions had scattered. A chill went through him from the tail up, and he froze. When he was sure he had not yet been seen, his little legs felt like they had been electrified as he darted under cover. Peyton's eyes were closed. He knew he was not hidden well. The stockman had not seen a platypus before, and he wasn't about to let this one get away. Not without a bit of admiring first. As the large man knelt down to inspect Peyton a little closer, Peyton, knowing there was nowhere to run, attempted to bury himself, all the while aiming his rear left leg at the soft flesh of the stockman's hand. The stockman rose to his feet after a lengthy display of discomfort. His filthy cotton shirt was now completely covered in bull dust, stained red with a fine powdered clay that lay thick as a soft mattress beneath their feet. "I wasn't going to hurt you, little fella." Peyton felt empathy for the sooking stockman just for a second, or even less, and burst into laughter. "Well, now you know how it feels to be punctured by a platypus," Pay said as he turned around. "Maybe now you'll think twice before using your spurs." Peyton smiled at the stockman as he pointed at the stockman's boots, then offered a platypus pledge handshake. The greeting was warm. In typical bushman fashion, the stockman, who Pay was to learn was not just a singing stockman, but also a well-worn traveller, was jack of many trades, and he was called Talkie. Dark was descending fast. Caelan, P, Woll, Hazel and Jackhammer were nowhere to be seen, and Pay began to worry. "Did you happen to see where the rest of the Buskateers went?" Peyton asked, as Talkie, who had already decided the light would not allow him to continue following the two lost horses, started to gather dry sticks for a campfire. "Nah, mate, wouldn't have a clue." He stood up tall, almost 6 feet taller than Peyton, and looked off into the horizon. "Bit of movement over there. Looks like a roo. A big one too." Talkie looked puzzled, then up at Peyton. "When you said Buskateers, do you mean the Bush Buskateers? Is that Caelan Kangaroo?" "Yo, yo!" he yelled. Caelan Kangaroo heard the call, and the two friends settled quickly into comfortable conversation. Talkie and Caelan had performed together up and down the east coast back before loud doof-doof music replaced live bands, entertaining crowds of hundreds through the day and well into the night. The locals and the musicians would often end the night by rolling out a swag on the beautiful beaches with campfires, dancing, didgeridoos and drumming, continuing early into the next morning. "Those were good times," Talkie said, as he gazed into the roaring flames.
Talkie, are you going up to the Busketeer Bush Bash this year?
Asked Woll from the opposite side of the fire, where he had been toasting his tiny talon toes. "Wouldn't miss it for all the tea in China, mate."
Chapter 6. Rejuvenated Land.
Jackhammer was nowhere to be found. The rest of the Buskateers searched for him until finally coming to a conclusion. "Itchy feet," Caelan said. "Fidgety feathers," said Talkie. The chuckle exchanged between them and reignited their bond from many years before. The night became early morning as Talkie told stories. First he told stories of the land, stories passed down through all generations for all to hear. Stories of the way things were when there were no fences. All of Earth's produce was respected as a gift, and nobody had more or less than needed. There were no rules except to respect and care for Earth and all that exists upon it, by being loving and kind to all life, and by being a giver instead of a taker. The land under your feet was legally recognised as your own land, and no person could take it away, holding back the tears. Holding back the tears, rolling back the time, going back in years, going back in time, going back in time. Dreaming of the day when the people stay safe and happy time, going back in years, going back in years. Silence lingered in the camp. You know, I'm coming with you, Talkie said, as he got comfortable near the campfire. Travelling a distance on foot is a simple process that would never be achieved sitting still. Caelan was prepared and packed before Pay, Wild Hazel or Talkie were awake. Yo, time to go, he said, encouraging the rest of the Buskateers to pick up the pace. As Pay was putting tea on to help everyone wake up, Jackhammer, who was nowhere to be found since the previous afternoon, swooped in over him with a frightening aeroplane dive bomber noise emanating loudly from his throat, followed by the sound of rapid gunfire. Pay hit the dirt, burying his face, covered his head with his hands. The camp burst into laughter. Everyone realised Pay had been completely convinced by the lyrebird's oldest trick. Pay saw the funny side, but his heart was still racing, and laugh he did not. Rejuvenated lands are not far now, Jackhammer announced after his scouting expedition. We need to head east. With brand new vigour and some zest in their step, they headed towards the rising sun. As the hours wore on, the sounds began to change. Instead of hearing a continuous chirp from grass-dwelling crickets, now there was distant sounds from frogs. The landscape ahead was different. By afternoon, Pay found himself in a swamp. Not a dark, dense, scary swamp. This place was full of paperbark trees, eucalyptus trees and small bushes of wattle, waratah and bottlebrush. Pay could smell that water was close. The local kookaburras drew his attention, and Pay left the campsite following the laughing, gargling calls deep into the swamp, not returning until some hours later. When he came back, he was singing. The kookaburra calling song. The smallest remnant swamp, sitting right out the front door. Only a few acres had been left out of it all. I never could describe all of the beauty that I saw, and I never would have seen it without listening to the call of the kookaburra crying on the corner of the swamp. He's singing up a ruckus and he's waking up the mob. Eventually I saw him, but not for very long. He flew towards the laughter of his mate. Yeah, I knew I had to follow as he took off through the trees, in between the preening of his feathers in the breeze. And pretty soon I saw what I could not quite believe, as an orchestra of animals brought me to my knees. The possums and the bandicoots, they swayed to and fro, as the frogs and the crickets sang a rhythm of their own. The birds kept up melodies, each one in turn, while the wind set the ambience different every verse. Yeah, Kookaburra crying on the corner of the swamp. He's singing up a ruckus and he's waking up the mob. He's calling all the people to see where they belong. And he's hoping he can teach us the bush melody song. Hazel and Wold joined in right from the start of the song. They were hiding above Pay as he was writing and singing his new song. They loved every second of it and couldn't help playing, dancing and singing along as Pay revealed his splendid ballad to his friends. Jackhammer made Kookaburra sounds and Caelan picked out the chords on P's guitar. "This is just the beginning," said Jackhammer as he flapped his wings to scout further ahead.